Okay, so I guess we'll get started here.
Yeah, let me get started. Hi, Nick, Chris, Joshua. How are you doing, everybody? Welcome. So I'll take my nameplate away. I'm Dr. Harrison. Okay. I am the department co-chair of the Math and Computer Science Department here at Wilkes. Welcome to our open house presentation. Okay. You are being recorded. Okay. So if you do not want to be recorded, you want to hide your video, that's up to you. Okay. Um, but today, Mr. Kapinski is going to go ahead and give a video presentation to us. Okay, he's going to be giving a talk about the department. There'll be time for Q&A at the end, and I will go ahead and give you a little virtual tour of the department. Okay. Certainly, if there's any questions, please let me know, okay, at any point. One thing, if you don't want to talk and stay muted, you can always type something into the chat function and we can take a look at that. But certainly there will be a chance for Q&A at the end of the talk. So we're thrilled to have you here. I'm going to be quiet and turn it over to Mr. Kapinski, who will take the lead on this. And sorry about the feedback. Steve, it's all yours.
Okay, so hopefully we're all able to see what I have here displayed on the screen. Let me see if I can blow this up for you guys. Here we go. Okay. So what we want to do here is give you an overview of what our department is like, and in a more general sense, what a Math CS major would involve and some of the things you can do with it. And as Dr. Harrison had mentioned, he is currently our co-chair. I am in the department, and my background is in math, so I don't have as much insight on the computer science side as he may have, but he does have background in computer science because, as a matter of fact, he can confirm this, he does have a undergraduate degree in computer science.
Yep, and my PhD is actually in theoretical computer science. So I do work that kind of bridges some of the formal mathematics that underlies computer science. So that's what I'm doing my research in. Yep.
Okay, so the Department of Math and Computer Science is part of the College of Science and Engineering. Okay, generally speaking, at any institution that's a university, you're going to have majors placed within colleges. Okay, and the natural place to put math and computer science would be in the College of Science and Engineering. And many of you already know this. Math is certainly a big part of a lot of the sciences. And computer science is, I like to think of it as a applied version of math. Okay, so natural place to put it, we're part of CSE, which is short for College of Science and Engineering. Now, I know this comes up a lot. A lot of people, when they hear the word math, they'll say, well, you must be going to be a teacher. Well, look, that's a very popular thing to do, but not the only thing that you can do with math. Because it's so fundamental in so many different areas, it turns out you do have some versatility and options in terms of what you can do with a math degree. Okay, so as I just said, you could look at it, we have a high-tech society, and you could see that it's only going to get more and more advanced as time goes on. And because of this, there are very many majors, or not majors, but rather fields where someone with a math major can, in fact, find employment. Okay, engineering, actuarial science, finance, operations, research, law, and medicine are all possibilities. And I could tell you, speaking from experience, I started out working for a naval base as a civilian. Okay, with a degree in math. I know another individual I had gone to school with who actually graduated a year earlier, ended up going to medical school and is now a cardiologist. So, you can check off a few of these categories right here with those examples. And the actuarial science is probably one of your hotter areas, I guess, or was for in terms of people who look at setting insurance rates, are determining risks, okay? There's a whole process that allows you to get certification as an actuary. Okay, you have to actually take exams in order to do that. But those types of jobs are also very, very popular with a math degree.
Hey, you probably got a chance to hear from President Kant. President Kant is our new president. He just took over back in June. He was formerly a business school dean, and we met with him recently as department chairs because I'm a co-chair of the department. And one of the things he told us, because the school he was at previously is near New York City, quantitative business is huge. Wall Street, a lot of people who are in math, technical majors, math, even computer science and physics are the people that are working on Wall Street. So there's a lot of opportunities beyond, as Mr. Kapinski said, just going in and being a math teacher or going on and getting a PhD in math if you get a degree in mathematics.
Right. It opens the door up to a lot of opportunities. It's a good foundational subject area. It's easy to cross over into something else, even in graduate school, if you wanted to go that route, or keep going with more math. I mean, you know, but again, it's very versatile in that regard. Because at the end of the day, really what mathematicians do is think abstractly and solve problems. And that's a big, important skill set for a lot of other disciplines. You know, we mentioned some of the possible career paths, you know, a moment ago, and here's some pretty current information from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics about the median pay for some of those positions. And remember, median means half the people earn above that, half the people earn below that. So you see actuaries come in at six figures. Statisticians, we're talking about mathematicians, statisticians with a master's degree, you're seeing 88,000, and operation research analysts with a bachelor's degree, you're at 83. And again, these are all non-teaching careers. Okay, so certainly, again, it's, I think, just human nature for people to automatically think teacher, but in reality, there's much else to do out there, and those things that you can do tend to pay rather well. So if you also look at trends, you know, the latest analysis coming out of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics also looks at employment of the math-related occupations to grow 26% over the 10-year period from 2018 to 2028. So we're early in that period, so we're in what's projected to be a growth period, which is always a good thing to see, because we all know, you know, various job markets fluctuate. Sometimes there's a decline, sometimes there's a projected upswing. Right now, it's the projected upswing, which is a good thing to know if you're entering school and, you know, pursuing that field of study. It shouldn't present as much difficulty in terms of getting a job that you want. Okay.
Quantitative skills, you're in demand.
Yes, definitely. Well, now we're going to talk about the other side of our department here. As I said, it's Math CS. What about the computer science? Okay, so basically, we've all seen computers be a part of our everyday life. Okay, more and more so. I mean, you guys grew up with them from day one. We're older, and you know, we remember. Geez, we remember when computers were nothing more than a novelty. You know, you talk about things like Commodore 64s and all these crazy things that are very primitive now, but you know, gradually they became a part of everyone's lives. All right, we didn't grow up with computers, but we certainly are using them every day now. Okay, and basically, again, you know, computer science also very, very valuable because you're looking at problems that are going to require some thought and imagination. As I said, computer science is kind of, it's fair to say it's an applied version of math.
Yeah,
And
within
you
it,
just
right,
put it in motion.
with an engineering component. I mean, there's a math component, an engineering component, as Mr. Kapinski said, and you can use it all over the place. Okay, I mean, you can be a programmer. Okay, but I mean, there's all kinds of platforms now to do programming. Probably as this presentation progresses, big data. Okay, being able to look at big data sets and being able to analyze them. These are things that are important in medicine, important in biology, important in chemistry. I mean, so there's lots of application of computer science across disciplines.
Okay, so let's take a look here at what we could say about the career side of things. Okay, again, we're talking about some higher paying and are amongst the highest paid jobs that are available in computer science. And as you see noted here, you don't even have to be a programmer per se to secure a job in this field. Okay, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, because computers have become a part of our everyday lives, future developments are going to keep that field around forever. I mean, you know, it's constantly pressing forward with new technology, new things. And, you know, we have a little bit of a better perspective because we started out, as I said, without seeing this. And now we think about the world we're in today. You guys have grown up with them, so it's not quite as obvious as to how rapidly things have evolved and will continue to evolve. Trust me, you know, 10 years from now, we'll probably look at this and say, man, remember how primitive things were in 2020?
Well,
I know it sounds like a crazy thing to say, but it's probably true.
I mean, as Mr. Kapinski said, I mean, this pandemic, okay, and for you, 10 years ago, you were 7 or 8 years old. 10 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this. Schools would be closed, okay? It's because of the advances that have been made in fields like computer science, computer technology, okay, that we even are able to do this feasibly, okay, at this point. If we would not be able to run schools, run this open house, everything would be shut down. And so this is, and your generation are going to be the ones to take the next step.
Yeah, it's a big deal though, because you look at this decade by decade, and it just you'll be amazed if you just said, okay, 2010, what were we capable of doing, and then think 2020, what are we capable of doing, and you can do the same thing from 2000 to 2010, and it's pretty dramatic to see again how rapidly things change, and all of this is of course related to a field like computer science. Okay. All right. So we also have some salary information here. You see that these are also very high salaries that are coming from 2018. We have network administrators and information research scientists, and you can see they're comparable, if not even slightly more than what we're seeing on the math side, especially here on the higher end. Okay.
They can't hear us. This guy looks like I was in the call with him yesterday from Mary James.
Employment is also forecast to go up by 12% over the 10-year period from 2018 to 2028. Okay, so again, growth is expected. These are just official numbers coming from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. All right, so we're not trying to give you some kind of number off the top of our head. That is the number that's being reported. So here are some areas of employment. Again, we're going to have some variety in terms of what we see. The list includes stuff like network administrators and architects, programmers and software developers, systems analysts, information security analysts, web developers, and computer information research scientists. So notice not everything on this list would be directly or would directly involve being a programmer. Okay, So, that might be a misconception when somebody says computer science, what are you going to do? I think there might be a bias out there where people automatically think, well, you're going to be a programmer somewhere. That may be the case, but it also may not be the case. Just like being a teacher, there's a possibility for a math degree, but not necessarily the only thing you can do with a math degree.
Yeah, and we have different, I mean, the thing is, and we'll be talking about this more when we get into the curricular part of the talk, but I mean, in some sense, there's going to be foundational material that you're going to learn your first couple of years as a computer science major, or if you major in computer information systems at Wilkes. And then after that, you've got some flexibility, and there's certain courses you're going to have to take, but there's some flexibility into coming up with what your specialty is going to be, where your focus is going to be as an undergraduate. And so there's going to be a lot of choices, which you'll see later on when we get to the curricular part of the talk later on in the presentation.
Okay, so, again, there is a lot of crossover between math and CS, and some of these things we had mentioned along the way, but others we did not. One of the areas that you'll see a lot of math CS overlap is in weather prediction. Weather primarily, even the most advanced models today probably have their heart in something called dynamical systems. And that's why when you turn on a forecast, especially if there's a big storm coming, maybe it's a hurricane, and you see the spaghetti noodles, and you see every once in a while a couple strands that are far different than the others. And that's just the result of putting in different initial conditions, and you see how much it can change the behavior of the storm. And that's how sensitive this stuff is. And that's why even with all the technology we have, there's always a need to keep trying to develop stuff to help us predict weather. And certainly math and CS is at the heart of that. I know Dr. Harrison had mentioned the business side. Clearly the analysis of trends and projections, very big right now in the business world. And that puts people with that math background and CS background in high demand because of that. Clearly, a couple other things here. We all know with the pandemic going on, there's a big race to get a vaccine. And, with some of this comes a genomic analysis where you talk about trying to figure out exactly how a virus is operating, okay? And it's a crossover between math and biology or the life sciences. And with that, of course, you're gonna have computer science involved to really round out the attack. I mean,
And certainly one of the things that is going to be something that you as students coming in the 2020s are going to be dealing with. Tailoring a program, because interdisciplinary research is where it's at right now. In other words, you're part of a team that might include a computer scientist, a biologist, a mathematician, a chemist. You may have a lot of different individuals, okay, on a research team. So not only getting experience, okay, in your major, but also getting experience, okay, where you can go ahead and work with others, okay, in groups. And the nice thing about Wilkes is a smaller school. I mean, you might be able to combine your computer science major with another minor in something else. And we've had students do that, okay, or math and minor in something else, and get background in multiple disciplines, which helps you either going on in the job market or going on if you want to go on to professional school, when you're done.
Yeah, because one thing that the computer science would do with a lot of this stuff too is simulation would be one area where that would interact with math. And as Dr. Harrison had mentioned, the different parts of the team, so to speak, everybody has a specialty area, but that one specialty area alone won't necessarily be able to solve the problem. You're going to have to work as a team, and everybody has an important role in the process. And we also have something that's, you know, you see it with your own phones at this point, the face emotion recognition. I mean, I know that with certain phones, you have security features in place where it's already doing stuff like this. You know, to get you onto the phone, it has to recognize your face. And of course, that is something that I don't think a lot of people would have thought would have been the case even 10 years ago or 20 years ago, for sure, where you get that advanced that quickly. Okay, but all of this stuff, again, is very important now and will continue to be very important in the future to offer opportunities for people with a math CS background to find employment. And we also see that there's, you know, we don't leave it just at what we saw there. There, you know, obviously we have video games are very popular. One of the things that I find interesting myself with engine design, you know, if you go back to older cars, you don't have to go back very far, but if you go back quite a while, if you go back into the 70s and 80s, you had very big motors producing very little output. Now you're getting cars with half the number of cylinders that are producing far more horsepower, and that's all due to the ever-evolving process of engine design. And you know, we go back more to the life sciences. You have the molecular modeling. Okay, that's where again, for people that have some background in the life sciences, you know that there's a lot of genetic coding that could be studied, and then on this. This is more like actually, I guess, in the chemistry vein, where you talk about modeling and chemical structures also have a relationship to math. Okay, robotics, obviously, you know, robots are going to potentially be part of our future and things, and they are part of what's going on right now. But a robot is going to be what? Programmed. Okay, so if you know, you think about what makes the robot do what it does, a computer scientist is going to be driving that. And again, I go back to the video games. That's got more, a little bit more of a tilt to this the computer scientist.
Yeah, a couple things I'll mention. Video games. One thing, some of you may have seen in the list of majors here, integrative media. So we have several students who major in integrative media and minor in computer science or vice versa. Certainly in the integrative media major and in that department, they do a lot of working with big video software packages that get used in the movie industry. Okay, so you can get that experience here. Also, we have a computer engineering minor, okay, that's out of the electrical engineering department. We have a couple of individuals that do robotics, okay? So we've had certainly majors up here. Sometimes we'll major in computer science, but certainly try to work and get background in robotics. So those kind of opportunities are available.
And, you know, there's a few more things here, and I know you just mentioned some of the stuff with the movie making, but you have the surgical simulators. You know, it's reached the point now where a lot of surgeries are actually done robotically, and the surgeon is actually controlling a device, okay, and not hand cutting. And I know that even with with even some basic procedures, for example, a colonoscopy, they have virtual colonoscopies now, where they're, again, not the traditional thing that had been done for years and years, but rather stuff that's driven heavily by technology, because it's no longer a doctor simply doing the procedure or operation physically. It's using technology to help complete the procedure. And, you know, the goal is to make it safer, less painless, and more accurate. That's always the goal. And so again, this stuff is continuing to press forward and will continue to press forward in the future. We all know.
I think it's the future of one of the futures of medicine. I mean, there are procedures that a decade ago could not be done because they didn't have surgical computer precision surgical cuts being made by a computer. So it's huge.
And then social networking has exploded. Again, even for you guys being younger, you've probably seen a major growth in this stuff. It seems like to us, it wasn't even there not so long ago. And now, you could see some of the icons up there of all the different things that have, come about in recent years. And, there's nothing stopping things from evolving even more on that front. I mean, because we say this because one of the things I see up here, and Dr. Harrison can laugh, MySpace was the big thing before Facebook. Okay, now
In the old days.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, you guys are probably like, what do you mean MySpace? And so it just shows you how rapidly things change, where one thing can overtake another. You might sit there and think nothing will ever supplant Facebook. Hey, maybe not, but I don't know about that, because a lot of people a few years before that thought nothing would supplant MySpace in terms of being the dominant thing.
I mean, look at what we're on right now. We're on Zoom, okay? Now, last year, probably most of you knew about Zoom, okay? But Zoom is specific software for presentation. And they were doing okay in the market. This pandemic, Zoom has now become, quote, king of the hill. And I mean, sadly, we certainly having a pandemic is, a horrific tragedy, okay, and needless to say. But the point is, as time evolves, different technologies become important. And this pandemic, because of its occurrence, the need for presentation software that could be utilized by multiple individuals made Zoom just an absolutely super viable product that took off.
We're also fortunate it existed, really. As you said, if it didn't, we'd all be closed and we wouldn't be sitting here today having this type of activity.
Yes.
So, again, and the growth can occur and refinement can occur in what Zoom can do and things similar to Zoom can do. And of course, the artificial intelligence, this, I know you go back a little ways on this when Kasparov was taking on IBM supercomputer. It was a big deal. That's been a while now. But the point is it has its heart in artificial intelligence. And what they were trying to do is to see if a supercomputer capable of ridiculous amounts of running combinations of scenarios could beat a human at chess. And, again, it is something that is going to press forward. I mean, artificial intelligence clearly has a role in the future. All of this stuff, some of this stuff has some overlap as well. I mean, it might not seem like it, but there's always going to be overlap. Very rarely do you ever see anything stand by itself without some overlap in some other area or skill set. And so, if we go back to talk about some of the jobs in math, and some of these we had mentioned with, regards to anything that involves number crunching is pretty hot. Of course, that would be your statistics, operations research, the actuarial positions, modeling, simulation, cryptography, and of course we put teaching on the list. But when you talk about where you could work, obviously we have some things like oil companies, insurance companies, and then you get into the finances here with the banks and brokerage firms, government. That's where I worked, as I said. It was actually, again, for the military as a civilian, but I was a federal employee. And then schools would be where teaching comes in to play. So when we talk about the degrees that we offer here, we have math, computer information systems, and computer science. So we want to give you an idea of what the various tracks are within these possibilities. Okay, so we have general math as a track, and that's a track where you're going to prepare for graduate study, research, or careers. So just like it sounds, it's more for we talk about graduate study and research. It's more of an academic tilt where you might be thinking about that as a career. And you also have the computational side, which is a little bit more open to various possibilities. I don't want to say a general math track can't do stuff that a computational can, or vice versa, in terms of employment opportunity. But clearly the tracks are going to have emphasis on slightly different things. Computational is a little bit more applied.
When I was an undergraduate back in I won't reveal that date, okay, back in the 80s, okay, I wanted to get background in both math and computer science, so I double majored, okay. The nice thing about the computational math track is it's a lot of math. It's a mathematics degree, but there's a lot of computer science in it. You will take pretty close to a computer science minor, okay, at minimum, to get a computational math track. So if you want to be able to go out on the market and be able to number crunch in industry, that's a really nice major, okay, you can do in 4 years. General math, the nice thing about that is it gives you a lot of freedom for a double major, okay. You get a general math degree, you can either do more math or just pick a second major field. A few years ago, we had a student double major in math and accounting, and she works for the IRS. So,
yeah, and the teacher certification has very specific requirements due to the Department of Education requiring certain things that have to be met in order to get certified. Okay, but if that's the choice that you intend to make, then again, it's going to have a slightly different set of requirements than the others. Okay, I mean, as Dr. Harrison mentioned, you're going to have more computer science emphasis on the computational math side. Here, you're going to have to pick up the education courses, and here it's a little bit more wide open to do other things with that major, because there's a little bit less in terms of exact requirement for what has to be done to achieve that track. And we do offer a BA, which is a Bachelor of Arts, a BS, which is a Bachelor of Science. We also have a minor in math, a minor in statistics, and an actuarial science minor. Okay, so generally speaking, a minor is going to run you, what's 18 to 20?
about 18 credits.
18 to 20 odd credits, depending upon which of the tracks it is here. And many times the minors are like, for example, if you're a computer science major, it's not that hard to get a math minor. Okay, so that's why the fields have so much overlap that it makes it easy to do these crossover activities. And minors are important. I think that sometimes people say, well, what difference does it make? It's just a minor. But in reality, we all know, we said BA, BS, and we know master's degree, PhD. But there's also, like a 2-year school would have an associate's degree. A minor would actually take weight over an associate's degree in terms of pecking order. So, it's somewhere in between in terms of like what it means about your background.
Yep, interdisciplinary background.
Yeah,
for the job market.
Because a minor actually, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but a minor would slot somewhere between the associate's degree and the bachelor's degree.
About that, with respect to the major concentration.
With respect to the major concentration, correct.
Correct.
Because the 2-year degree will have other requirements just to get the 2-year degree. But in terms of a field of study, it will, be one notch above the associate's degree for field of study. Computational math, as Dr. Harrison mentioned, is the crossover between math and computer science. If you like them both, this is an ideal place to land. You as we said, you could look at many opportunities ranging from the medical profession to banking to software development to logistics, because you're combining two very important skill sets. Okay, it's kind of like you're unlocking the knowledge you have with math in a very practical and applied way, because now you're blending that with coding to solve problems, and problems arise in all different types of fields. Okay, so that one is definitely, I would say it's the most versatile of the group, because in terms of, direct employment, teacher
Nice
certification
degree.
puts you in a particular track. The general stuff, it isn't quite as much of a hybrid, but this gives you like a crossover effect that makes you pretty desirable on the job market. And the math degree, as I said, is a groundwork for potentially other advanced degrees. Clearly, computer science, statistics, engineering, business, and management all fall under those categories. I know, as I said, even I mentioned the guy that ended up being a cardiologist, went to med school. Now, granted, he did work on minoring in, I believe it was biochemistry. I also know we had a faculty member here, it's been a little while now, but he started out with a bachelor's degree in math and ended up getting a PhD in environmental engineering. So I can point to examples of people who did this that I've encountered professionally, or I knew back when I was a student. So, it's not always that you just get a undergraduate degree in math and just continue to get higher degrees in math. You could cross over into something else, or you may continue to get more advanced degrees in math. And not everybody crosses over, but it's certainly not exceedingly rare to do so by any means. It happens all the time. Actuarial science is back on the business insurance side of the house. Because of that, the economics background will need to be there, as will the financial math background, okay? But something that's common to everything, whether you're talking about math or computer science, doesn't matter which track you're in, you're gonna have to take calculus, okay? And clearly, because of what's being emphasized in the particular concentration, a really important part of actuarial science would also be the probability and statistics side of it. And some of this stuff is interrelated, but I think that the thing that stands out to me, because don't get me wrong, if you take a general math track, you're taking calculus and you're taking probability and statistics, but here in particular, you have the economics and financial math that you're going to get as part of your background. And as I also mentioned, the actuarial science track, your goal as an actuary is to take certification exams and to pass those exams. And so in order to do that, you would go through preparation for the exams, because they get progressively harder. And it depends on where you're working, what the target would be for how many you're going to need to pass. Obviously, the larger the firm is, the higher up you're going to have to go through the exams in all likelihood, okay? Because they're going to want people to have passed a certain number of exams. But in order to pass those exams, you do have to have not only the math background, but you also have to get into the financial side and economic side as you get deeper into the exams. The early exams are, first one's calculus based, right? So, but again, that keeps moving up. As you move up the food chain, you need more and more of that crossover background in order to pass those exams.
Very quickly, one of our faculty, Dr. Shinlow, has a lot of background in financial math, and he's in the process of completing his credentials as a fellow in the Society of Actuaries. So we do have expertise to help with preparation for the exams in our department.
Okay, so now we'll turn our attention to the computer science and in particular here, computer information systems. You know, there's, again, lots of diversity in terms of what you can do, because all aspects of society, whether you're in business, medicine, industry, education, they all have unique sets of problems. And one of the things that's used to, again, help solve those problems is the use of programming and or things that involve a skill set related to computer science. So, you know, some of you might like some of these things more than others, but the point is you do have a lot of flexibility. You never want to pigeonhole yourself into one particular area. It allows you to, you know, evolve as necessary. And I say that meaning that I don't mean as necessary that you know, you have to change jobs. I'm talking about maybe you just found you have a new interest as time goes on, and you know, having the ability to switch between industry and business and medicine is kind of a neat thing to do without saying I have to definitely do this one thing forever.
Right. Often when you're in information systems, you could be a liaison between a business and a company that's designing an information system for somebody, and you might be the in-between, okay? As opposed to with a computer science degree where you are usually primarily a coder. There's a continuum, and it's kind of, it's not a discrete difference between CIS and CS's majors. Some people get computer science degrees, do CIS type roles, and vice versa. Some people who go into CIS end up doing more programming than others. But as Mr. Kapinski said, it's kind of a continuum. The degree gives you some flexibility.
Yeah, and in terms of the offerings, there's a BS in computer information systems. There's also a minor. And then here again is some of what you just heard. The computer information systems, you're talking about acting as a liaison, and you know, this is sort of just a rehashing of what you just heard. Just the slides are catching up with it, I guess, right?
Yes.
You know, so
we're getting a little redundant here.
well, yeah. I mean, sometimes we say it ahead of time, and,
Yep.
and other times it's just a reinforcement. But some of it is a little
Yep.
redundant, but it's all accurate.
So, but it's important to, I agree with Mr. Kapinski, it's important to emphasize, you know, the importance of the development of these skills. You know, it's worth talking about them more than once. Yes.
Yeah, and then you know, you have systems analysis under the CIS subject matter. You know, systems design and computer programming. The analytical and business areas pertinent to the development, implementation, and maintenance of information systems. So again, this is sort of, again, a little bit of a rehashing of some of the stuff we had already mentioned, but it's out there on the slide. And so we'll turn our attention to CS, which I don't know, you know, we didn't really take a poll here to see who was interested in which area. Maybe there's more of you on the CS side or math side or CIS side, but CS obviously, just like math.
Our suspicion is more of you're on the CS side.
That was probably my guess.
Yes.
So this is going to be more, you know, area that of discussion you'll probably be a little bit more interested in. We do have the BS, the BA, and a minor, just like we did in on the math side, and we do have specialties involved on the CS side. Okay, so
with
our
our
list of them here.
Yeah, with our curriculum, how it works. The first 2 years, you're going to take CS1, CS2, CS3, CS4, okay? You'll work with several different languages, Python. You'll work with C++. You'll work with Java, okay? There's also a C and Unix course where you'll learn some stuff with operating systems. And then after your first 2 years, you have your opportunity to take courses from these different areas. Some are going to be required. Some of them you'll have some choice, okay? And you'll also get to do a senior project, which is a group project, usually with an external client. That's an important part of the curriculum in computer science.
Yeah. So as I said here, you know, this is an area that you guys might be a little bit more interested in than the others. And we have a list here of some of the job placements that we have been able to see coming out of our department here in recent years. Okay, so you see a list of some very recognizable names. You know, IBM, obviously, we have there leading it off, but I know Lockheed Martin is a big government contractor because when I worked at the naval base, we had people at that base that were Lockheed Martin employees that were coming on the naval base, and they were on a contract to do certain things on the base. Okay, so, but we go down the list and we have, as I said, a whole bunch of famous names, including Google. We did have a graduate who right now is working for Google, which is a very good employer to work for, prestigious employer to work for. But we do have one that ended up working for Google. But you see on this list, one thing I just want to mention before we just move on to the next slide here is you do see some diversity in terms of what these places of employment represent. They're not all just in one particular area or field.
Right.
Okay,
We had a major about 10 years ago who came here, got his degree in computer science, but also got background in computer engineering, and he worked for Intel. He is now a computer engineer. Okay. So, I mean, those opportunities are there as well because we have an engineering program, electrical engineering program, computer engineering minor, and a computer science major.
okay, so maybe,
Yeah, let me make a couple of cuts. So, yeah, I'm going to be, hopefully, if we have time, if not, it'll be on the video, the recording that'll be available. But I'm going to take you on a very brief trip through our lab. So a couple of comments. We have our own server, okay, an Intel Xeon, okay, called Dilbert, okay, running Linux, okay. We have a 25 workstation classroom, and we have an open source lab with 8 computers. They're running Linux and they run virtual Windows. Understand these are managed by students, okay? So we have a faculty system manager, and then we have student system managers who manage these systems. Very few schools you're ever going to go to, you would get this kind of an opportunity. If you get selected to do this kind of work, it is invaluable experience in system management, okay? We've also had numerous students work for our IT department, which is separate and outside of our division. But these kind of opportunities exist coming here as opposed to if you go to a bigger school, probably it's either going to be done by a graduate student or there's going to be external hires to do that kind of work.
okay, so we'll take a look at what you see here is just a list of our current department faculty members, and the math group is over here in this circle. The CIS is in the second circle, and you notice that there is an overlap in the middle, and one of the people in the overlap is in fact Dr. Harrison. And so, as we've been saying all along, these two fields are very interconnected. As a matter of fact, you can see there are 3 current faculty members that have crossover between the 2 fields.
Yep, we have three full-time computer scientists, PhDs in computer science. We have 2 faculty who have significant background in statistics, Dr. Kong and Dr. Lowe, who also does financial mathematics. And then we have a couple of applied mathematicians. So we certainly have mathematicians and computer scientists who have pretty applicable PhD experience, okay, to come here.
Yeah, and even when you look at some of the backgrounds, there's even though we don't have people explicitly in the overlap, some of their research areas certainly are navigating towards the CS side, to say the least. Okay, so here's the list of recent graduates and some of the things that they were able to do after they graduated. And you could see here we do have a list that includes some CS majors and also some math majors. And again, these are some of the names that you saw above in terms of employers. I believe some of these are actually also not on that list.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but again, it's a diversified list. Okay, we have a little bit of everything there in terms of you know, where they ended up and what they're doing, and it just reinforces what we were saying about all the different opportunities that you can have if you complete either the math or the CS degree. And we have a few others here that.
I mean, the last three, the two of the last four, yes, go down. Steve, definitely scroll forward. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was going up.
That's okay. No, that's fine. Simon Shu and Lindsay Jacobs. Okay. Simon Shu was accepted into the doctoral program in software engineering at Carnegie Mellon. Carnegie Mellon is the #1 school for computer science in the United States. He was just accepted into the program this year. Lindsay Jacobs was accepted to be a PhD student in mathematics at the University of Delaware. That's one of the best schools in mathematics in the United States. Ed Zolkowski got his PhD in computer science from the University of Waterloo, one of the best schools in Canada. So we've certainly had majors that have really distinguished themselves.
Yeah, this group here is, this is more of the academic track where they're going right to a terminal degree. You know, so there, again, so there are other people who didn't necessarily pursue a terminal degree. That's what they're doing. We have other people who are
absolutely
either have completed or are doing well, and you know, the academic track where they're looking at terminal degrees.
Our graduates get jobs. They do, and get placed.
Or get to good graduate schools,
Yes,
one or the other.
absolutely.
You know, so it depends on what depends what you want to do. We have the yearly. We host the yearly ACM. We're a regional host for the ACM computer programming contest, and the Wilkes teams have done quite well. You know, you can see a history here. We had a first place team in 2003, a third place team in 2012, and we had a winning team in 2015, which you're about to see down here.
Which is a heck of an honor. You're going against some of the best schools in the Northeast.
Yeah, so, you know, when you're saying, because you're saying we have, you know, 2003, 2012, and 2015, but this is huge. This is a major event. We're a regional host, and we've done well historically with that event. So I guess we do have a few minutes there if you want to take them on the tour. We have.
Okay, want to end the screen share, Steve?
Yeah, let me get that off here, and you can go turn it over to the virtual tour.
Yeah, so do you have any, I mean, please feel free to unmute. Do you have any questions? I mean, I'm going to try to give you a quick virtual tour, okay? But I can do that whenever. Are there any questions you'd like to ask? You're making this easy on us. Okay. All right, well then what I will do, if you give me a minute, okay, I'm going to put my little thing up here, okay, and disappear for a minute, okay. I'm going to try to give you a quick look at our laboratory facilities, okay, and then Mr. Kapinski will wish you the best. I want to say to all of you, wish you were here, okay, we wish you were on campus. If you want more information about Wilkes or its programs, please get in touch with us. We will probably reach out to you, okay, but please get in touch with us, and we will certainly work to schedule either a one-on-one visit or if, assuming things ease up with the pandemic at some point, a visit to campus, okay? So I will be back in a minute.
You should be able to see his feed here pretty soon. He's literally going to go give you a tour through a camera and it won't take very long. We don't have much time, but this should work out well as soon as he gets hooked up here. You'll see it come up on the screen. Okay, so now,
Okay. So I am now using my phone, okay, and I have come into one of our labs, okay. So I will do my best to give you a nice tour. This is our workhorse laboratory that we talked about during the presentation. There's an instructor station up front, right here. 25 stations running Linux. Okay, this lab is maintained by students, by student workers, okay? Maintain the laboratory, keep it up, maintain the machines, okay? Let me show you that this original lab, there's a little plaque in the lab. And this lab was dedicated originally by a member from Wilkes alumni who worked for, okay, back in 1995. Certainly that has, we've had this lab now for 25 years. Valuable experience for our students and a great place for them to take introductory courses. Okay. Is take you down to our little high-end lab. Okay, so this is our higher-end laboratory. Okay, running Dells. Okay, with Linux. Okay, little workstations. Okay. Upper division courses often run out of this lab. Okay, in other words, this is usually upper division, juniors and seniors work here. So they can do some advanced coursework in this room. These machines have a lot more computing power than the machines in the lab. Notice these machines have names on them.
I apologize, your bandwidth is a little low here, so we're getting a little bit of, we're getting a still shot, so. Okay, there you go. Now, yeah, there you go. That's
okay. McCarthy, but these are machines that can be logged into. Okay, this is where students will come in and just come in to relax. Okay. During the day. Notice that this is all within the department. Classrooms, faculty offices, okay, are all on this particular floor, okay? So, I mean, for example, here's one of our faculty offices right here.
Yeah, it's not coming through on them, so there we go. Yeah, your bandwidth was hung up, so.
I apologize to everyone about the bandwidth issues. Needless to say, it's the life we live in this. I'm back into the lab. One last thing that's very nice about this laboratory has a beautiful view of campus. Okay, it's up on the 4th floor.
Yeah, we're still getting bandwidth problems here on the receiving end. So.
Okay.
Right now I see the hall.
Okay, all right then. I will turn things back over to Mr. Kapinski to close things out. Okay. Again, thanks for your attention. Okay. He will say goodbye to everybody. Okay. And like I said, if you have questions or comments about Wilkes or you'd like to talk to us, please let us know.
Okay, so hopefully, oh, no, just recovered a little bit, but he just shut it off. But hopefully you found this informative, but obviously you may have questions after the fact, so feel free to contact us. We're all glad that you were able to attend. We wish you were on campus, but you know, we're glad that you were able to spend time to sit through our presentation, and hopefully we'll see you at some point on campus in the future. And right now we're just about out of time, so is there anything I can answer for anybody? Okay, then I guess.
Okay, we have a 3 o'clock virtual tour. We thank you, okay, very much. You'll probably hear from us. We will be in touch. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.